Question: what happens when we stop trying to fill the space? I'm Kit Rodgers. I still got questions. After meaning loosens its grip, something else gets uncomfortable. Silence. Not the absence of sound, the absence of explanation, the absence of commentary, narration, justification. Most of us don't fear noise. We fear the moment when the noise stops and nothing rushes in to replace it. Because silence doesn't tell you who you are. It doesn't tell you what to believe. And it doesn't reassure you that you're doing life correctly. Silence just waits. We are compulsive fillers of space. We fill silence with opinions. We fill uncertainty with certainty. We fill boredom with stimulation, phones, music, podcasts, arguments. Anything to avoid the feeling that comes right before awareness. I remember I wrote once that sometimes I find everything and everyone uninteresting to the point of anxious boredom. Am I lonely? Who's interested or interesting, and how do I find them? Well, that sounds a little like egotistical boredom, but that's not where my head was at the time. That thought in retrospect was really attention with nowhere to land. William James believed attention was the most important faculty we possess. Not intelligence. Not belief. Attention. What you attend to becomes your world. John Stuart Mill worried about something adjacent. He feared that most people never actually choose what they attend to. They inherit it. Custom, habit, majority opinion. These quietly decide what feels obvious, important, or sometimes even unthinkable. Silence, for Mill, was one of the few places where a person could notice whether their thoughts were actually their own. John Dewey framed silence not as a withdrawal, but as preparation. He saw that reflection required pauses, that thinking required gaps. When experience is interrupted by constant reaction, intelligence has room to form. Jean-Paul Sartre comes at this from the opposite direction. Silence terrifies us, he thought, because it exposes freedom. When nothing is telling you what you are responsible for becoming something. And that's not peaceful. It's heavy. Albert Camus didn't try to resolve that weight. He asked whether we could live honestly without resolution, to face the absurd, the lack of built-in meaning, without fleeing into distraction or false comfort. And Eastern traditions reached similar grounds centuries earlier. Lao Tzu warned that constant naming and explaining pulls us out of alignment with the Tao. Confucius was more practical. Silence for him wasn't mystical, it was ethical. Listen first, act second, and speak only when speech improves the moment. The Upanishads push the idea furthest. What you are cannot be fully spoken. The deepest truths are known by being lived, not described. And Aldous Huxley, standing between East and West, called the mind a reducing valve. Most of reality is filtered out so we can function. Silence loosens that filter, not to reveal cosmic secrets, but to remind us how little explanation is actually required. Across traditions, one idea keeps returning. Not knowing isn't a failure. It's a threshold. I want to read something I wrote, not because it explains anything, but because it doesn't. I may be just out of ideas for the moment. Is that okay? Joy just is. When you figure out how to simply be, it reveals itself. Believe me when I say that was not clarity, but it may have been permission.
Out here, silence isn't empty. It's populated. Wind through leaves, water over rocks. Roland, stopping suddenly, listening to something I can't hear. Nothing is rushing to explain itself. Nothing is asking to be understood. It's just resting and moving. I once wrote in my journal that focused eyes help focus my brain in the now. Silence doesn't give answers. It gives orientation.
So here's where I'm landing. For now. Silence isn't the absence of meaning. It's the absence of demand. Not knowing isn't ignorance. It's honesty without defense. Pragmatism taught me to test beliefs. Mysticism taught me when to stop testing. To just stand there. I don't think silence is something you achieve. I think it's something you stop interrupting. Not knowing is not emptiness. It's space. This season started with broken certainty. And it ends here with attention. Next time, if there is a next time, we'll talk about joy. Not happiness, joy. And why it doesn't ask permission. Love you. Mean it.